Okay, so we are back and we've got part 7 of Let's Play A Link to the Past. Now, what's going to happen is we're going to finish up the first real dungeon in the game, and if you pay attention, these Stalfos have a new trick that they do. So before, there's really not that much left to do, but you're going to notice that this boss does give me a bit of problems. But also, it's not really hard to get problems in a game, at least at this part, because you only have 4 hits. So anytime you take damage, you know, if it takes a heart, you got 4 hits before you go. So obviously, you know, if I had 12 hearts, it wouldn't look like I was struggling, as opposed to if I had 4 hearts. That's one thing you have to pay attention to in Zelda, in case you ever have that person who's like, you know, kind of takes everything at face value. You take 1 hit and they think you suck. So I know that you may just be playing it by yourself, but there's just always considerations, because I feel like this game is a great game to play with an audience. Zelda is one of the best games to do it. I mean, that's just, I may have said this before, but point being, if you got some friends and they don't want to play but you do, this is a great game to play. The story just hooks you in. I mean, most people are going to wonder, well, what's going to happen? How are we going to do it? How are you going to solve this puzzle? What power-up are you going to get? You know, there's just so much that goes on. This was the very first Zelda game I ever played. And when I beat this dungeon, I said, wait a minute, this is addicting. Because if you want the truth, I didn't like Zelda when it first came out. I mean, it was for petty reasons, but the truth was I didn't like it. I didn't like Link. I thought Mario was the better hero. I couldn't understand why Link was, you know, people liked him more so than they liked Mario and basically all of his games. So that, you know, when I was 8, 9, that gave me some respite towards the game. And I actually remember saying once, you know, you're gonna hate me for this, I rented Ocarina of Time. Most people would be like, hell yeah, but it was just, I knew, because Zelda was that way. So that was just the secret. When I was like 8 or 9, I said that. And yeah, I said, you're gonna hate me for this, I rented Ocarina of Time. But it was definitely something that went along. So you're gonna need arrows. It's definitely something, I mean, I end up missing quite a few times, but these are the Armos Knights. You can also hit them with your sword, it's not that. So, this boss is probably one of the easier ones. I don't really feel like, you know, most people should not struggle. Even though you have 4 hearts, it's something to pay attention to. Just shoot the arrows, attack them if they get too close, and that's it. This last one is going to be a bit problematic. So, we've got journeys on our hands after this. That's definitely one thing. I think most people should be able to beat this dungeon. Should not really cause a bunch of grief. I went to GameFAQs the other day, and I noticed that people rank the difficulties on the games, and you know, when they do that, one of the things they do is they rank it out of 5. So I'm noticing that anything above like a 3.2 or a 3.3 I can probably not beat, because I beat Super Metroid and they ranked that in difficulty a 3.3. And, you know, I can't, you know, depending upon the game, most certainly I'm kind of curious about Castlevania as to whether or not I could beat that. And I know I couldn't beat Super Ghouls and Ghosts, Super Star Wars, those type games. It's just like, forget about it. You know, some of these third-party games, it's one of the main reasons why I haven't done them is because I probably would not be able to beat them. But go to this, you're going to want to, just because you get 100 rupees here. So, it pays to be explorer. I don't know if there's a word for that. So now we don't have, I mean, obviously we may have to come back to this first dungeon because this is one of the easier places to get fairies, but it all depends upon whether or not I need them. So that was another thing. Even if the boss whooped my ass, I probably would have had two more, I had two more fairies, so it shouldn't have mattered. But it's up to you whether you want to get fairies or potions, just because, you know, the potions cost money, but they also restore your health to full. So if you only have 8 hearts and you're supposed to have 20 or 16, it's not going to do you that much more good. So rupees are still handy. Sahasrara is pretty much one of the more needed characters. You get the, wait for it, Pegasus boots. Now all you have to do is hold the A button, you'll hear a noise, and then he'll run, and he can crash into things and break things, and, you know, it's an extra thing that was not in Zelda prior to this game. But I'm not sure how it would translate to 3D. And I also like the Rock's Feather. That was another one, but that came along down the road. So we're gonna, I haven't really talked about it, but there are Octoroks periodically around the place. They're red. You don't really see blue Octoroks like you did in the first Zelda, but there they were. First enemy you ever saw in Zelda was that. They're basically the Goombas of the Zelda universe. I actually like those. But alright, so we're gonna wrap this video up, and we've got more on the way. Pay attention to that. And we are gonna learn how to swim soon. You see all this water is gonna happen. Subscribe for more fun.